Hello, everyone. I see that more participants are joining our room. We will start in 1 minute. So let's wait for other participants. Okay, great. I suggest to start. Thank you so much for joining our call, our webinar to learn a little bit more about our Constructor Institute and our programs in computer science, software engineering, and quantum software engineering. Yeah, so today we will tell you a little bit more about master's program in computer science, software engineering and leadership, and the second master program in quantum software engineering and computer science. So you will discover key details of our programs, why to join Constructor Institute, and also you will learn more information about our Capstone project. You will learn about career opportunities and student achievements who graduated from Constructor Institute last year and this year, and also will understand all the questions and process of admission and enrollment, as well as our scholarships. So let's move to the next slide. My name is Olga Kornienko. I'm head of student talent recruitment at Constructor Institute, and I will be your host today. So let me also introduce our speakers. Professor Dr. Bertrand Meyer, Provost of Constructor Institute, will present more about master's program. Also, Caroline Meyer Sharma, student recruiting specialist, will tell about our admission process and scholarships. Flavia will tell more about Capstone project, and our alumni, Julia and Ananga, will join to tell about their experience. So let's move to the next part and learn more about our master's program in computer science, software engineering, and leadership. Please, Bertrand, join us to tell about the program.
Thank you very much, Olga. It's a pleasure to present our program. And yeah, maybe I should say a few words about myself because it's relevant to the presentation, in particular to explaining what Constructor Institute is about. So as Olga just said, I'm a professor of software engineering at Constructor Institute. I'm also provost, which means that I oversee research and education. My background is somewhat special for an academic, not so special at Constructor, but in general, in the sense that I came to academia from industry. So I've had experiences in large companies, but also with my own company as an entrepreneur. Of course, I've always maintained a research and in general an academic activity, but I became a full-time academic only when I came first to ETH Zurich about 20 years ago. And then I joined Constructor. And it's fairly typical in the sense that many of the faculty members at Constructor have this double academic industry background. It's reflective of our focus on both doing good science and of maintaining the practicality of what we do. The practical aspects are very important to us. My field of research is software engineering in general, with a few points of focus. One of them, which I particularly develop at Constructor Institute, is program verification, which means developing techniques to guarantee that programs do what they're supposed to do, which is, of course, very important given the fundamental reliance of modern society on computer-driven processes of all kinds. So we develop techniques and tools to make sure that we know exactly what a program should do, and then we can guarantee that it does it. And when I say guarantee, it's a guarantee with the quality of the certainty of a mathematical proof backed by automated tools. And again, this is representative of Constructor Institute as a whole, in the sense that we're a research university where education is closely tied to research, and students get an opportunity to get exposed to some leading edge work in the field. Okay, next slide, please. So a few words about our master program. It's actually two programs, as we're going to see, but with a lot in common. Computer Science and Software Engineering and Leadership, CSSEL, and then the QSEX, which is the Quantum Software Engineering in Computer Science. So what I'm saying here is mostly about the first one, Computer Science and Software Engineering and Leadership, which is the one that I direct, but much of it also applies to the other program, which my colleague, Dr. Triffer, will present a bit later. So there are lots of master degrees around, including in computer science, and not so many master degrees in software engineering, which is somewhat surprising given the importance of software engineering in industry. And there are definitely not any master programs that I know of. No, I was still on the previous slide. There's still only, there's even fewer, there are fewer, as I said, in software engineering, and there are none that I know of, which also includes leadership. And I'll come back to this point in just a minute. So it's a really unique combination: computer science, software engineering, and digital leadership. Then our program, continuing with the list of reasons for joining. Our program prepares students for key leadership positions. We give access to a very interesting network of people around the world, technology and research leaders. Our teaching is very innovative with leading edge flip learning, distributed agile techniques. We offer partnerships with research and industry organizations, and we also offer scholarships. So this is only an overview, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to develop all of these points. Next slide. Well, I said our program is unique in its combination of computer science, software engineering, and leadership complemented with management. So what happened is that when we started the program, we talked to a number of our partners in industry, the CEOs or CTOs of important technology companies that we interact with, and they told us, we can find developers. It's not that easy, but we can find developers. We can also find managers. We can go to MBA programs and find people who have a master in business administration or who have management experience. What we have trouble finding, I'm citing our partners in industry, what they told us is that what they are missing are people who can manage a team, develop a product, take it from beginning, from first idea all the way down to specification, realization, and take it to market. And managers, for products, for projects, for companies who also understand the technology. Those are the ones that we have really trouble finding people for positions for which we have lots of trouble finding people. And so this is what we focused on: training people who are technically savvy in our fields, in computer science, AI, machine learning, software engineering, in the future, quantum computing, but also giving them leadership and management skills. Or the other way around, finding people who are experienced managers, but may need to refresh their knowledge on the side of technology. And we believe that this is a really winning combination for people who want to have interesting careers in industry by being both managers and techies. Next. So here's the curriculum for the computer science and software engineering leadership program. This is not organized by year. I'll show you in just a minute the same courses, but organized by semesters in years. So this is organized along the three tracks that I mentioned: technology, management, and leadership. So we, on the technical side, Here are some courses. Quality engineering is taught by my colleague Mao Pizze, who is one of the world's experts on testing and author of one of the foundational textbooks on software testing. There is a course which I teach called Software Construction, Software Architecture, and Software Engineering, which is a kind of compendium of all the current basic knowledge about these fields, designed to bring everyone to speed with respect to software, then cyber protection, data science, architectural strategy about how to design change resistant and reliable large systems, deep learning and dynamic analysis, system protection, which is security course, quantum informatics, which is an introduction to quantum informatics, a very important emerging area of computing, and programmatic marketing, which belongs in part to the middle column. And then the middle column, management, courses like product vision, strategy, innovation, and marketing. So this is typically the kind of thing that you will never find in a computer science master program or even in a software engineering master program. If you find such courses at all, they will be in business schools or in economic curricula, but I'm not even sure that that kind of course actually exists there. Product design, how do you take a product from inception to the to market, as I already mentioned. Transformational change management, how do you manage change in fast changing organizations and fast changing disciplines. And then leadership, organizational behavior, industrial organizational psychology. And this is perhaps the kind of thing that you would find in a sociology or psychology department, but it's also very useful for future technical leaders. Agile leadership, customer-centric mindset, reminding techies that it's not the problem that counts, it's not the elegance of the solution, although those are important, but in the end, what counts most is whether it will satisfy the customer. So put the customer at the center. And entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship, we want many of our students, and we do have many of our students who actually go out and start companies, and we support them through various means. And one of the means is this course, which prepares them for that goal. Next. Well, I mentioned people. So what does it mean? Well, it turns out that in the constructor sphere, in the constructor ecosystem, as we like to call it, there are a number of people who are very successful on their own, with their own companies, their own research projects, but take a keen interest in the success of the constructor enterprise. And we talk to them all the time. Most of them are members of our strategic advisory board, which in the end decides on the orientations of the constructor. And we benefit from their advice and criticism and suggestions. So I'm not going to go through the whole list, but taking, for example, the one at the bottom right, Konstantin Novoselov is a physicist. He is the youngest Nobel Prize in Physics ever for his discovery with André Geim of graphene, remarkable two-dimensional molecule. He's a professor in Singapore and also in the UK. In the left column, the second person is our founder, Serge Bell, who is famous in particular for having started from scratch and brought to the unicorn status, meaning more than $1 billion revenue, a company called Acronis, which he founded, and he's devoting the current state of his career to the overall constructor enterprise, not just Constructor Institute, but the various elements in the constructor constellation in order to help the world through the increasing of knowledge. So I could go through each one of those. I won't, but they are all people who have achieved major status in their respective fields, some from industry, some from research, some from management. And we are grateful to them. We are privileged to obtain much of their wisdom. Next. Another point which was mentioned in the earlier slide is the original modern and novel teaching model that we use. So it's a blended on-site remote mode of teaching in which we combine remote education for those who are not in Switzerland or are not always in Switzerland, and on-site teaching. We do expect most of our students to spend at least some time in Schaffhausen, but it's extremely flexible. We provide direct experience with industrial projects, not just a pure academic environment. We provide instructors with a world reputation, and you are welcome to dig up information about the professors at Constructor. I mentioned Mao Pizzi, who is a world-class expert in testing. We provide seminars and interviews with world leaders, so we regularly invite people to present at Constructor. Sometimes it's people from the previous line, people in our network. Sometimes it's new people. And we take good care of our students. We provide advanced personalized digital learning. The word digital is important. It is still partly under development, but we are in one of the companies in the Constructor ecosystem is a company that until recently was called Ademira, which provides AI support for advanced learning techniques to take advantage of technology and blending technology with people. Next. I mentioned research. I mentioned my own research, but more generally, Constructor Institute, as I mentioned, is a research institution following the model of successful research universities. And at the moment, our research is along three dimensions, especially the first two. The third one is starting. The most developed part of our research is around computer science and particularly software engineering, with research work on software engineering. I mentioned my work, but there is lots of other work by my colleagues on smart cities, on testing, on Internet of Things and such topics. Then we have AI, artificial intelligence and machine learning, and cybersecurity and robotics. There's in one of our sister institutions within the Constructor ecosystem, a very advanced set of developments in self-driving cars, self-driving race cars. Quantum technology is the second major direction, and the last one is technology transformation entrepreneurship, with work here about digital learning. I mentioned Alumni a few minutes ago, and digital sports. Next. So what we offer students is the interaction with all of it. So I mentioned research in the previous slide, and interested students can perform projects, for example, as part of their master thesis in relation to the research conducted at Constructor Institute, and they also get access, instead of that or along with research interests, with very practical efforts. So one of the cornerstones of our teaching is the Capstone project, which has the originality of being a course project conducted over 3 semesters, which is something that is almost unheard of in traditional universities because of the limitations of the semester system. So often you don't really get to develop a real project in an engineering course or an engineering curriculum. So here we have this Capstone project driven by my colleague Manuel Oriol, who actually takes a group and makes it build a real system over 3 semesters, coming from specifications typically provided by one of our partners in industry, and with also the originality that it's not a competing kind of a competitive kind of course where various students are trying to outwit or to best each other. Instead, it's a group project. So the group for this project, this Capstone project, is the entire student group, which works together in order to produce something exciting. We provide, continuing with the list here, we provide summer internships possibilities, in particular in connection with our partner companies. Our master thesis is quite original because it has 3 variants. The first variant is the more traditional one, a research thesis in connection with one of our chairs. The second one is more original, an industry thesis, which is a project conducted in industry under the supervision of both the industry person, the industry manager, and the faculty member at Constructor. And the third one is completely original. It's a startup thesis, which consists of developing a proposal, including typically a minimum viable product for a new entrepreneurial company, for a new startup. And students divide their choice between those 3 possibilities. And I should say we've had some really interesting startup theses in the first few years, which I hope will lead to interesting projects, to interesting companies, not just projects, but companies. We provide access to industry leaders, as I mentioned, and we provide privileged career opportunities with these industrial partners. Next. So talking about career opportunities, this goes back to what I was saying a few moments ago about the gap that our founders asked us to help fill. The typical careers that people will have after taking such a program. I mean, they can include developer, of course. There's nothing wrong with a career path as a developer, but they also include technical leadership, technical management, positions like the ones mentioned here: chief architect, chief product officer, chief program officer, chief development officer, chief security officer, and other CXOs for which maybe the X has not been invented yet. But you see, the idea is to provide leadership with the right technical capabilities. Next. What about the distribution, the time distribution? Well, there are more students to take the first scheme shown here, which is the so-called classic scheme. So it's over 4 semesters. It's a standard time for a master degree in the Bologna system, the standardized European system, which we follow. So it's over 4 semesters with the possibility of a summer internship in the summer between the 2 years. And the last semester is devoted entirely to the thesis, one of the 3 kinds of thesis that I just mentioned, with no courses that apply. Then there's the fast track, which is largely the same, but it's interesting for people who want to complete the degree faster. And it's over 3 semesters instead of 4, with essentially the same material being compressed over a shorter time by taking advantage of the summer to do part of the thesis. And then there is also an interesting possibility for students who are working and want to continue working and take the program part-time. So you can do it over more semesters by taking the taking the program in parallel with of course, the program is quite demanding, but it's designed in such a way that if you do it over a longer period, then it it can be done in conjunction with a job. Next. So I mentioned the Capstone project, which is an integral part of our program. And here I'm going to yield to my colleague, Dr. Flavia Trifa, who is going to explain it to us.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar also from my side. I'm Flavia Trifa. I'm the program manager for our master's programs at Constructor Institute. Quickly about myself, I have a PhD in political sciences from ETH Zurich, and I'm happy to provide to you more information about our Capstone project on behalf of Professor Manuel Oriol, who was not able to attend the webinar today due to some personal issues. Next, please. So I'm sure that everyone here listening has worked with app or developed app on their own. And this is one of the main goals of the Capstone project, to develop actually a complete product from scratch as a cohort, as a group. This is the example of Easy Peasy app, which was created by our 2020 cohort of students at the Schaffhausen, the Constructor Institute in Schaffhausen, which is an app for sharing recipes from all over the world. Well, yes, food recipes. Next, please. So what exactly is Capstone project? It basically very nicely complements all the valuable learnings and knowledge acquired in the program with practical skills. So you really have the opportunity to go deeper in developing a product, a full product from scratch as a cohort, and apply your knowledge acquired in the courses, and also learn new skills. It basically combines a mix of formal presentations and also guest presentation, as also Professor Meyer has mentioned before. And it allows you basically to start from addressing requirements with stakeholders, fast design and prototyping, architecture, practicalities of cybersecurity in the third semester, and I explained that in a bit. And everything follows an agile process. So development really goes through the agile methods. And also, as I said, it's a collective effort. So you work in groups and you use, yes, collaborative development tools. Next, please. Let me share with you the structure of the project and what is unique about it. The fact that it runs through 18 months, or the 3 semesters that we have. And in the first semester, you start from mock creation, initial proof of concept, interaction with the stakeholders, receiving feedback. You follow through with software architecture, the initial development, and then finally bring in elements of the artificial intelligence and cybersecurity, as I mentioned, using the sprint-based development or agile methods. Next, please. The main learnings of the Capstone project. In the first term, you'll get the chance to create and propose mocks, address requirements, prototyping, follow through coding in groups, architecture description, coding as a large team, but also integration of independent works, using the Git repository, so on and so forth. And then finally end with practical cybersecurity aspects, practical discussions with stakeholders. So you really have the chance to interact with people from the industry, to get their feedback, to really have a sense of what it means to build and design a project. Of course, you'll be given input and you'll receive guidance throughout your project, but the goal of the entire Capstone project is to allow you to work in groups and to develop a real case product, basically. I mentioned, and also Professor Meyer mentioned before, that we have many guest speakers that have been invited. Besides our own professors here at the Constructor Institute, we have from many companies guest speakers that would provide you with further insight from the industry, basically. And this is just the list of the people that you can look up afterwards. And we will continue with this format for our next academic years as well. Thank you. Next slide, please. Yes, and so also on behalf of Professor Manuel Oriol, I'd like to mention a few aspects, a quick overview of our master's program in quantum software engineer and computer science. Next slide. So what is it really unique about our program? It's really aiming at simultaneously preparing students with the software engineering and leadership skills necessary for the quantum future. So everything that Professor Meyer has described and presented to you based on the master program on software engineer and computer sciences and leadership applies, and you get also additional courses related to quantum. It's really an ideal program for both physicists with an interest and strong coding skills, as well as for computer scientists willing to explore the quantum field, which is a really topical area of learning and research. And so besides the core courses and advances in software engineer, the Capstone project that I spoke about, we have a course on quantum informatics, complemented by agile product development and design, and entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship courses. Thank you very much. I'll pass over the word to our alumni. So we have here Julia Katovic and Ananga Tapalia, and we are of course happy to receive your questions afterwards. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Flavia. Julia, please join our call to tell about your experience. Julia graduated last year and Ananga graduated this year. Yeah, also, I would like to remind that we have Q&A section in Zoom and you can ask your questions and we will reply to them all after all the presentations. Please feel free to text your questions in the chat. Julia, please join.
Hi all. I'm Julia. I am an alumna of Constructor Institute Schaffhausen. I have my bachelor degree in medical physics, plus I have some years working experience in the industry. And after that, I started to plan my further career and education, and I found the program Master in Computer Science and Software Engineering and Leadership, matching with my career goal, and super excited for me as this program includes not only technical courses, but business and leadership as well. I can say that this master program helped me to move to the next level, both in technical skills, in programming, data science, data analysis, and in leadership and entrepreneurial skills as well. Moreover, this program provided me with a great opportunity to live abroad and meet students from all over the world. And now I have friends from almost everywhere. I really enjoyed my students' life. We spent our free time by hiking, cycling, sightseeing, and of course, traveling around Switzerland and Europe. It was a great time. In summary, I can say that if you want to be a strong professional and leader in IT, I really recommend you do not miss a chance to apply and join this program. Looking forward to seeing you. And now I want to give the floor to Ananga.
Yeah, thank you, Julia. Hi, guys. Hopefully you are doing good wherever you are. And yeah, I am also an international student from Nepal, and I just recently graduated a few months ago. We had a really good party. We had a really good celebration on our graduation. And as for me, my name is Ananga, yes, and I did my bachelor actually in computer science in Innopolis, and then I did my computer science also in master's in Constructor. So, well, I chose the university because of one obvious reason, that's all for us, because of the scholarship. That was the very first reason. And the second reason is the program itself, right? You can also do it online from where you are. And if you are here, you can attend the classes physically also. And the mix of what Yulia said, that it's not only technical, not only practical, not only theoretical, but also you get to know, you get to learn with a lot of leaders, a lot of experts from outside the field, right? You are not limited to something that is only on the study, but also outside. And you can do internships in different companies, different software companies, and all these including made me to apply. And in the end, it's in Switzerland, right? So who doesn't want to come to Switzerland and study masters? So that was for me to apply. And as for the highlights of studying, actually everything was very good. There were some things which I would like to highlight. It's very hard to choose because things went very well. But to choose something, I would choose. There were courses that is outside of computer science, because I did my bachelor also in computer science, so I was looking something different, right? And there were courses like product marketing, entrepreneurship, all these things combination made the study super fun. So yeah, those were definitely the highlights for me. For sure, I will recommend you to try to join the university as soon as you can, because of course the seats are limited, scholarship is limited. So as soon as you try, that would be best. And yeah, so I will be starting my work here in Zurich very soon. So if we get the chance, we can even meet. So, and I can help you if you have any kind of problem, right? So yeah, hopefully see you soon, and goodbye, and thank you all.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ananga. Thank you so much, Julia, for your experience and like how you boost your career with our master program. So, and right now, the most important part probably is how to apply to our master's programs and to get to Schaffhausen, to Switzerland. And Caroline Meyer-Charmar, student recruiting specialist, she will tell a little bit more about this. Yeah, Caroline, stage is yours. Please join.
Thank you very much, Olga. And indeed, I have the pleasure of, now that you know why you should join us, I have the pleasure of telling you how you can join us. So if we can go to the next slide, I will start with some practical information about the fees. You see there that they're 10,000 francs per year for EU and EFTA students, and 20,000 per year for non-EFTA and non-EU nationals. And indeed, as Ananga mentioned, we are very lucky because it's not often the case, as I'm sure you all know, that institutions and universities have such scholarship opportunities. So we're very lucky to have a limited number of merit-based scholarships. So we have two different possibilities. We do have one scholarship that covers just but all of the tuition. It waives the tuition fees so that students, applicants can join. And in that case, the enrolled students do have to be able to cover their living expenses while during the program. And we also have full scholarships that include the full tuition waiver, as well as monthly stipend when students are physically in Schaffhausen, because as has been mentioned by Professor Meyer and on our alums that it is possible to attend remotely during some time because we are a very diverse institution, whether it's our students or our faculty members. We are very proud of this fact. We really do think it brings a lot to the students, to the program quality, to have such a diverse community. And that does mean that many of our students do need visas to attend. So sometimes that can take into the first semester. And one of the great things about our program is it is possible to attend remotely, as you've heard. We really do hope that students can join us as soon as possible, again, because we fully embrace hybrid learning, but we really do think it brings a lot to have students on campus. But again, I've mentioned coming back to the full scholarship, the monthly stipend starts once students have physically arrived in Schaffhausen. So as I mentioned, they are merit-based scholarship, and as Ananga rightly said, that of course we are very lucky, as I mentioned, to be able to offer these scholarships, but we don't have an unlimited number of them. So I will get into the official deadline soon, but the earlier you can apply, the better if you're looking to receive a scholarship. And these are, as I mentioned, merit-based scholarships. So we do look at previous academic results, professional experience, and the admissions interview to determine if we can give an applicant either of these scholarships. So now I will go further into the specific application process. If we can move on to the next slide. So I mentioned officially our application deadline is the 31st of August, so it's coming up. We do have a few spaces left, but again, we do recommend that you apply as soon as possible. So we do ask for a certain number of required documents, diploma and transcript. So sometimes we get asked the question, if I'm just received my degree and the diploma hasn't officially been, I haven't officially received it, that's not a problem. Something like that, we can look at an application with what you have up until now, transcript and if you have your diploma, and make a decision with those documents. And then if you are admitted and enroll, then we would ask for the final official documents if you hadn't submitted it earlier. So of course, transcript and diploma, as I mentioned, motivational letter, personal statements, where we ask you to give in your own words a little bit more about your previous academic and professional background, why you want to join Constructor Institute and the program, and what you might bring to it if you were to be admitted and enroll. An updated CV resume, of course, listing your education and your professional experience, whether it's, you know, if I could put it that way, just internships, if you're a recent graduate, or significant professional experience, you know, we'd like to see all of that. And an official ID, national ID or passport. And then we do have two optional elements. We have English certificate, which is optional. The the language of instruction of the program is of course English. So it is important to have a good English level to succeed in the program. We do expect our students to have a good level, but we don't require specific TOEFL results or IELTS results, so that is optional. We can usually confirm an applicant's level of English during the admissions interview, which I will talk about in a little bit, and as well recommendation recommendation letters are optional. We welcome you to submit them, but you will not be penalized if you don't submit that. So once we have those documents, again, and as you'll see, they should be in English or in a Swiss official language, German, French, or English, in Italian, excuse me. Alternatively, you can provide an official English translation. Once we have all of those documents, then I will be in touch with you to schedule the admissions interview, 20-minute interview with a Constructor Institute faculty member. If you can go to the next slide, I can go explain a little bit more what that interview entails. So as I mentioned, 20 minutes where we ask you to briefly, in your own words, give us the highlights of what's on your CV and the motivational letter, information on your background and why you want to join the program. And then I would say we go to the meat of the interview, where one of our faculty members will ask you our applicants some technical questions related to computer science and software engineering, and to understand your level. And there will be at the end a few minutes for you to ask the faculty member any questions that you still have about the program. And so if we could quickly go back, just quickly to mention that once you've submitted the requirement documents, you've done the interview, then we get back to you with our admissions decision and scholarship decision if you've applied for one, and you'll receive it by email once that's been done. So indeed, now we can move to the next slide. And so just you'll see here a list of all the documents. As I mentioned earlier, many of our students do need a visa once they've been admitted to come and study at some point once they've in Switzerland. And so this is a list. We would also provide you with a checklist to help you in your application, which of course you need to complete all of the requirements and send in your application. But of course, we provide you with the acceptance letter, which is important, very important documents. And as well, if there is the proof of financial means requirement. So if you've received the fully funded scholarship, then we also provide you with proof of that as far for the visa authorities. So if we can move on to the next slide, and the next one, a little bit more about, you've heard a little bit already about why studying in Schaffhausen, Switzerland is a great opportunity. So I'll just speak quickly about that as well. You see, you've seen some other pictures in the presentation, but a picture of the area, and it's really an ideal place to study, both for the quality of life in general in Schaffhausen in Switzerland, and also for its the activity both in the city of Schaffhausen. It's Schaffhausen, and the canton of Schaffhausen has really put a lot into encouraging economic development, and there are quite a lot of companies located there, and for students to network and to work on those practical skills that you get in the program. And of course, we're very close to Zurich, as has been mentioned, and close to several different countries. You know, you can even walk to Germany. I haven't done it yet. I hope to be able to do it, make the trip soon. But indeed, you're that close to Germany, and a very exciting place to study. In the next slide, you'll see a little bit about the cost of living, estimated cost of living. You'll see the total, the 2,000 Swiss francs per month. That's in line with the monthly stipend that we do give to students who have been given the fully funded scholarship. And you see, of course, as is always the case with estimations, it will vary for students, different students. You know, there's a mention of going out. There are some things that will vary, but it's a pretty good approximation of living expenses per month. So if we can move to the next slide, I think I will give it back to Olga. I hope I've answered your questions, and of course, as Olga will remind you, will remain available for any further questions.
Thank you so much, Caroline, for explanation about the application process, admission process. And right now I would like to invite all of our speakers to join me to turn on the cameras, and with that to open our Q&A section. We have about 10 minutes to reply on all your questions. Please feel free to text them in the chat, and I will address them all to our speakers. So the first one is from Yunus, does this students or school fund the development of Capstone projects? So probably Bertrand or Flavia, you can reply on this question. Bertrand? Flavia? Okay.
Yes.
Can you hear?
Yes. So I was just looking through the questions. For the Capstone project, to my understanding, that there's no cost for the students. So basically, we have our alumni here. That can share their experience as well, that participated in the project. But there is no cost as such. It's a learning exercise and a collaborative project with the companies, and there are no costs associated with it for the students as such.
Yeah, thank you so much, Flavia. Julia, Nanga, can you please a little bit more to tell about Capstone project, about your experience? If you spent some funds, and what was your project? Just quickly.
I can answer this question. We were the team that developed the Easy Peasy app. It's more about learning process, not about any funding or it's like the project that when you can start from the ideation process and go through all the processes like in real big large companies inside with a development team, a product management team, architecture team, and so on. It's not about the money. Of course, if you want to, if you will implement very, very good project, after that you can try to like start a business or like a startup with it. But in Capstone project, it's more like a students project. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Julia, for clarification. Ananga, would you like to add something here?
Yeah, so just something probably, for example, if you are asking about, let's say, you want to host your website or you want to host your project, then even the server side, I think the Constructor has its own, so you will get access to it, and all these things you don't really need to pay. So this is, in the end, this is a student's project, and there is instructor, so things happen inside the university, so it should be fine without spending any money.
Thank you so much for the details. Then I would like to move to the next question. Is this program accept applicants with non-IT related fields, like bachelor in civil engineering, for example? Also, we have quite the same question. What is the chance to be admitted and possibility to get scholarship if the background is biochemistry? Bertrand, if you are here, can you please reply on this question?
Yeah, I can answer that. I have to warn you that for some reason my internet connection goes away. So if I
Maybe
So,
Yes.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
We can
Okay.
go.
So, yeah, so the two questions are essentially the same. What happens if with a background which is not in computer science? It's actually one of the originalities of our program is that we're more tolerant in general than the universities familiar. You know, if you have a bachelor degree.
Caroline, I would like to ask you to help and reply to this question. Yeah.
Yes, with pleasure indeed. So what Professor Meyer was starting to say is that one of the great things about our program is indeed that we are not as restrictive as
Even in another field.
Bertrand, we're having a hard time hearing you. So what I'll do is I'll answer the question, and then if you have anything to follow up, we can pass it on to.
So how does it work now?
So I'm going to answer the question.
Yeah, please, Caroline. Yeah,
Okay.
Caroline,
Yes,
please reply.
indeed.
Yeah, because your connection
Yes.
is better. Thank you so much. Yeah, Bertrand, so sorry.
So indeed, we're not as restrictive as many other universities. We are absolutely happy to receive applications from students who have studied other other related fields. We do enrolled students, in order to succeed, do have to have a bit of foundation in computer science and software engineering. We do find, of course, you know, if you're enrolling in a computer science and software engineering program, you do have to have a foundation, but we do accept applications from students who haven't done their bachelor's in computer science, because we do really believe that it brings a lot to the program. So it is absolutely possible to receive a fully funded scholarship, even if you've studied another subjects, again, because we really appreciate different perspectives, different backgrounds. But, you know, of course, as I mentioned earlier, you know, what's most important in the scholarship in deciding on scholarships is, of course, previous academic results, CV with any professional experience you might have, and of course the admissions interview, where we get to know a little bit more about you and how you might fare in the program. So it's still possible both to be admitted and to receive a scholarship, and that would be, of course, confirmed through the different processes, part of the application process, if that would be something that we could offer to you.
Thank you so much, Caroline. I guess the next question is also to you. Is the question, how long will it take to get admission decision? And also there is a question from Ahmad Kamal, when the results will be available, because he already attended the interview some time ago. Yeah.
Indeed. Thank you, Olga. We do try to get back to our applicants within a few weeks. I really appreciate our recent applicants who have been patient with us. We have been taking a little bit more time, indeed, you know, to make sure that that we are considering everyone for the scholarships. So I do apologize for any of those in particular who have been waiting a little bit longer. I know it's a nerve-wracking time and decision time right now for everyone. So we will be getting back to all of our those who have already applied very, very quickly, within a few days. So again, thank you for your patience.
Thank you so much, Caroline. I also have personal question in the chat to me. So, and I would like to address this to Flavia, because we are a little bit late with announcing scholarships and so on. When the academic year will be started and how students will start, yeah, if they don't get visa till like beginning of the year.
Yes, thank you, Olga. So we start on the 18th of September as an institution in Switzerland. We follow the Swiss academic year, and here the fall semester starts on the 18th of September. So in about 4 weeks' time from now. Yes, and if you do not have the visa by the time the semester starts, of course, you can attend all the courses online. So this is not an issue at all. We have this, we've been doing this since the beginning, and we offer the opportunity for our students to attend online and do all the necessary work remotely. At least at the beginning, until their paperwork is done. And then, as my colleagues also mentioned, we highly encourage people to also be here in person to really experience the student life and be together with the cohort of the new students.
Thank you so much, Vlad. I think one more question is also related to it. Is it possible to study fully online with passing exams remotely?
So I think we've had cases where students did the program online, but, and here's the but, they did come in for meetings, regular meetings, and some requirements for the coursework, and attending also in person. So completely remotely, not really, but the vast majority of it, we allow that. So as I said, we encourage people at least to come once in a while in person to the campus in Schaffhausen, and to attend some of the courses or do some of the tasks, the requirements for the coursework.
Thank you so much, Flavia. And I would like to ask the last question, because we're out of time, is about fully funded scholarship. So I had 2 questions. One is not really a question, but about fully funded scholarship, but the second, what is included there? Yeah, and if travel coverage is included to fully funded scholarship.
And I'd be happy to answer that question. So
Yeah.
it doesn't include travel. Again, it includes the waiver of all tuition fees and the monthly stipend of 2,000 Swiss francs per month when students are physically in Schaffhausen, but it doesn't cover the costs associated to traveling to Schaffhausen.
Thank you so much, Caroline. I hope that we replied on all your questions. So for sure, we replied on all the questions in the chat. If you have more questions, please feel free to text us. Can we go and move to the next slide? You can see on the slide our email address, so masteroffice@constructor.org. Please feel free to text us, ask your questions, and we will guide you through admission and enrollment process. Yeah, thank you so much for attending the webinar, and we are waiting for your applications and waiting to seeing you in person in Schaffhausen. Thank you.
Thank you,
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.